Hello, one and all. Welcome back to the Mind's Eye Inquisition. I am your horror host, Inkarnate. So, man, after I wanted to do this episode after that winning, that award-winning Super Bowl game yesterday. Now, I know what you're thinking. Nothing quite says Super Bowl like horror movies. Furthermore, I wanted to make sure that I was able to do this preview of the calendar year that we have ahead of us in the realm of our favorite genre, yours and mine, horror. And if you're asking, well, why did you wait until damn near mid-February? Shut the hell up. People have schedules. Anyway, yeah, I absolutely wanted to make sure that I was able to not just do this preview, but this will be a first for me looking ahead at the road ahead of what we have in terms of horror cinema. But it'll be a first for this week for you see. I'm going to be splitting this up into not just previews of what we have on tap in horror for movies, but also I'll be dedicating 2 more nights during this week to go over what we have in store for the year that is 2025 in horror TV as well as horror video games. So it goes without saying, on a annual basis, I am always much more interested in what's coming out on Blu-ray than I am with what's coming out on film. Let's see what we have on tap for 2025 horror, if any of that's going to change my mind. So, what better source could we possibly ask for than good old Watch Mojo? If you follow their work at all, I don't consider them a particular great source when it comes to pretty much any genre, let alone horror. But I figured, you know what? They came out with a preview, so let's give them a shot and let's give you a roadmap, not just in terms of what's coming out, but what you can expect from these franchises, from these films. So let's take a gander. And before we get started, couple ground rules. I'm gonna be fair, and I'm gonna give you a reliable opinion. But for any potential snowflakes, just check your egos at the door. You didn't make these movies, so don't take it personally or get touchy when whatever movie is coming out that you are a fan of, that I'm going to give an honest and potentially unflattering assessment of. Because if there's one thing you can and should expect from me across the board, I don't pull any punches. I don't toe the company line. That ain't my job. So what you're getting out of me is an honest opinion, unlike what you would get out of Watch Mojo. Another criteria, no Pooniverse movies. If you're wondering what that is, good for you. Also, what that happens to be, what that happens to amount to, man, it's just basically B movies that are trying to turn Disney films that are now in the public domain, just trying to turn those into slashers. Which, if you looked at the box office as far as this past weekend is concerned, and believe me, we'll be getting to that, yeah, slashers ain't it as far as horror is concerned. So, yeah, none of these corny Disney movies that really appeal to no one are done for just to turn a profit. Yeah, I'm not going to be reviewing any damn one of those because they're not worth my time or yours. So, with all that having been said, what say we get to our Inkarnate 2025 horror movie preview. Okay, So, this is actually, I'm not going to lie, the video form of this list is what motivated me to do this preview. Again, I have never done one of these previews in my life for the channel, so I decided, you know what, why not? So, let's go through them. I'm not going to read over what it is that they have. I'm just going to read what each movie is and what my thoughts are. The Conjuring Last Rites. Hey, don't blame me. I didn't make this list. Bro, aren't we done with these movies? Like, and not just with these movies. With this franchise. Honestly, all the buzzwords and talking points have been exhausted. This is a series that has failed to move. Like, this was supposed to be the series that was like the jumping off platform for other horror icons in the making and other stories and all the case files of the Warrens. Honestly, I would say that their heyday would have to be in 2018, 5 years into the franchise, when the first Nun movie came out. And that movie's nothing to write home about. And I realize that we're talking about The Conjuring Last Rites, but I'll be getting to that in a second. The Nun came out, wasn't a good movie. Oh, but it was the highest grossing only because of the foreign market. It was the highest grossing of the Conjuring series, and that is the same talking point that you heard right up until that second Nun movie came out recently. What was it, in 2023? And boy, everybody shut right the hell up with that, because that movie was nothing to write home about. So now, all of these films within this franchise, all the films have either had their sequels or have been made into a trilogy, like The Conjuring proper and Annabelle. And guess what? This franchise is on its last legs. I mean, it has to be. The third Annabelle movie, nobody liked. Then they switched gears to, let's make a third Conjuring movie. And guess what? That flunked too. So this series, by the way, they failed with La Llorona to the point that they excommunicated or exorcised it from their own franchise, and that we're all these years later, we're still waiting. Actually, more than a full decade later, because The Conjuring 2 came out in 2016. No, I'm sorry, we're just shy of a decade. They never made that Crooked Man spinoff. So now the film that allegedly saved horror, right? That was the going marketing for the first Conjuring movie. The film that saved the horror genre is now in need of a savior. And I've said this before. So now we come to The Conjuring Last Rites. Guys, this franchise has had 4 straight L's, right? Yeah, because La Llorona came out in 2019. So, yeah, I mean, you have La Llorona, you have Annabelle Comes Home, you have The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It, and you had The Nun 2. So this is looking to be their 5th failure. This film is tired. I mean, this franchise is tired. This film, I have no reason to believe that they're going to really. And it's being directed by Michael Chavez, who worked on The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, and I believe the last Annabelle movie. It's like, bruh. Yo, you failing upwards like, what's his name? Andy Ducietti, the guy who did the It Chapter 1 and 2 film. Oh my god. He went on to do The Flash, and that failed. And now he's set to do a Batman movie coming up. Ugh, god. Look, set expectations to disappointingly low when it comes to The Conjuring. Like I said, this franchise, it's done with. They have exhausted all goodwill they could possibly have, and now it's just another horror movie. So, moving right along. Final Destination, Bloodlines. I'll be getting to this more because later on, because we have had numerous trailers that have come out that I'd like to talk about, and one that came out recently, last week, in fact, I think it was a week ago today, was Final Destination, Bloodlines. And yeah, color me unimpressed, but it really is just more the same. For me, the only thing really to look forward to is what are they gonna do with Tony Todd? That's pretty much it. The Monkey. I didn't know that this was a Stephen King based movie. It's directed by the same filmmaker that directed Longlegs, which is finally coming out on streaming. It's coming out on Hulu actually this Friday, which I'll be doing a watch party for sometime in the near future. But basically, it's kind of like it's kind of like Final Destination. This toy monkey with the whole instead of using the symbols, it's just a toy drummer monkey that's haunted or whatever and causes like deaths and hallucinations or whatever. That's pretty much it. That's all there is about it. Man, I'm watching the trailer and I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go with it. But yeah, the fact that it has James Wan's involvement, I don't know. He's another one. Speaking of The Conjuring, he's another one that I think that we've gotten all we're gonna get out of James Wan, and I'll be getting again. This trailer just came. No, it came out 2-3 weeks back, so I'll be getting to more of that when I get to the trailer section of this video. Talk to me. They really thought that this was a clever title. I didn't see the original, but to me, this falls into the same territory as A Quiet Place. Again, I didn't see it. Everything that I heard about it was, Zoomer horror. It seemed like a decent enough premise, and it kind of lended itself to believability in the sense that teenagers stumble onto this supernatural I don't know, item that allows them to be possessed for a certain amount of time, and they make a game out of it, and suddenly the game turns on them. I'm kind of in the middle on this one. I didn't watch it. I really had no interest in it. I want to believe that they're coming to this premise, coming to this sequel with a fresh idea. They're not just going to rehash it or for a cash grab. I will give this one a recommendation for anyone who liked it. I mean, it did well enough. It was something of an indie sensation. So I'm not going to rag on this. It doesn't seem like my cup of tea. Interesting premise. And here is hoping, and you guys will tell me, here is hoping that they're not just doing a cash grab and they're not just going to do a sequel just to capitalize on the bankability of the first one. Megan 2. Ugh, I knew this one was coming. Again, this one just released a trailer, actually. Believe me, I'll be getting to this one when I go through the trailers. But yeah, this is pretty much what I expected it to be. So let's hold off on further discussing that until I get to trailers. The Black Phone 2. This was another one that I didn't see. It was mildly interesting, if only for the plot device of dead children, the victims of a serial killer, like the ghosts, warning the current victim of what it is that this guy does and how potentially to escape. But I don't know, maybe it's because it had the attachment of Blumhouse to it, and as well as Ethan Hawke, who just, Jesus, without Blumhouse, that guy would starve. I don't know. It's just like it, and again, the fact that it has ties to Blumhouse, they make sequels out of everything and anything. There's never any a nuance with them or innovation, and oh man, we've certainly seen that with the last film that came out from them, which happens to be number 4. But before we get to that, yeah, Black Phone 2, I don't have any interest in watching this. Again, okay, child abductor wears a weird mask. Blumhouse has always had this weird fixation with slashers. And again, we'll be getting to slashers when I get to the recent releases. No, I'm not interested in it. It doesn't look interesting. This has never done anything for me. I've had no desire to watch or stream this movie. So the sequel, I could care less about it. Wolfman, man, I haven't stopped talking about this. I did, and I knew it was going to suck. This I will get into more in my recent releases, but man, yeah, this is pretty much what I expected it to be, and I knew. People believed that, oh, because of the success of The Invisible Man, that this one was like destined or something to knock it out of the park. Knock it out of the park or strike out once it walked up to the plate. Moving on. Saw 11. Jesus, they just can't stop with this. Apparently, Saw X was widely praised. Honestly, I checked out of this franchise at least half the franchise ago. It's honestly, it could be a return to form in terms of Saw 10. It could be a return to form, but honestly, what does it say that they're going back to familiar territory of coming out with sequels on a yearly or semi-annual basis? Man, I don't care. And again, I don't mean to be so like dismissive, but like seriously, even if it was highly praised, it hasn't the formula been done to death, pun intended. So very little have they been able to innovate in this franchise. Not only was it reduced to just blood and guts, the movie, the franchise, but honestly, they've done such precious little with sequels and re-releases and spin-offs and reboot. I don't even like, they had to bring back the original killer that they killed all. Like, dude, this is Saw 11. They killed off their main two characters in Saw 3. Like, I guess this is a prequel or something. I really don't care. And again, I don't mean to be dismissive, but I don't understand how anyone could have any hype for this. Saw has never been one of those movies like a Nightmare on Elm Street or a Jason, where there's something that you can be, what's the word I'm looking for, nostalgic for. And believe me, the pig mask, the stupid doll, the Jigsaw himself, there's never been anything for people to gravitate to. And part of the problem is that it really is just blood and guts, the franchise, the film. And again, it's not exactly a good sign. Even if Saw 10 was highly praised, who cares? Like, the fact that they're coming with a sequel so soon after the 10th installment, to me that's a bad sign. That just demonstrates that they're trying to, capitalize on any kind of resurgence of the name brand. And man, they've been doing that. So now we come to 28 years later. Again, this was a trailer that released recently, if I'm not mistaken, before the new year. And I'm going to be getting to that more in the trailer section. So I'll just say this. To me, in terms of zombies, it has always been George Romero, a Dead series, Resident Evil, and the 28 franchise. Shout out to Walking Dead, of course. It's those four, and then like everything else when it comes to zombies. Usually, again, I would be concerned with this just being a cash grab. So many, I mean, my God, 28 weeks later came out in what, 2006? So 2 decades later, normally I would be concerned. However, I've always given credit to this franchise. They have some level of quality to them, quality control, and that's always important. The more that the attempt is made to iterate on these franchises, the more imperative it is that someone is watching over it, and not just in a, not just like the current Scream handlers where they're just pumping out one sequel after another, one dead end for the franchise, narratively speaking, after another. No, what I'm talking about is if you manage to have someone who like actually cares, is passionate, is talented, handling your franchise, or you have one of the OG filmmakers behind the scene. I'm talking about Don Mancini when it comes to the Child's Play Chucky franchise. I'm talking about Sam Raimi when it comes to the Evil Dead franchise. And I think that that's a major contributing factor to why it is that these series have been able to continue, why it is that there is a level of quality control with them. So I'm glad that Danny Boyle is involved in some aspect to make sure that this isn't just a run-of-the-mill sequel. But again, I'll be getting more into that in the trailer section. Oh boy, here we go. Ugh, Frankenstein by Guillermo del Toro. I swear for God, the more work this guy does, the more he works my last nerve. This guy's output has always been unimpressive. I've always found it just laughter inducing that this guy supposedly is like some kind of icon or whatever, and yet you couldn't name me an iconic film that he's ever made. He's made 2 good movies that I like, but iconic. Nah, son, you don't have that gene. Whatever genetic makeup is involved in greatness, it must have skipped you entirely, which is amusing considering how wide your ass is. But God, this is gonna go nowhere. You hand Guillermo del Toro a project, and he's not creative. He's not some kind of genius. He's not some kind of artist. And dude, we have seen what that looks like. Okay, we've had the age of John Carpenter. We've had our Wes Cravens. We have seen what Clive Barker can bring to the table. The fact that this guy is like running on, I couldn't even tell you what it is. I don't know when or where it started, where this guy has like some kind of Midas touch. If you give an honest appraisal of his career, you will see that he brings nothing to any project that he's part of. In fact, he just look at all the video games that he's done or tried to do, and he is the death knell for all of them. And oh my God, Oscar Isaacs is supposed to be the titular monster. This is another guy that just needs to go the hell away because he's not good at anything. So as far as Watch Mojo's list is concerned, Jesus, let's take a quick look at it. We have 28 years later. Remakes, sequels. I'll give The Monkey a chance, as well as Final Destination. But Final Destination, I mean, you're kind of grading on a curve because, as far as I'm concerned, I'm only interested in it for Tony Todd's involvement. Just because, he's obviously passed away. I guess this is his last horror film ever. And to me, I think it's worth shouting out that most people want to be the face of a franchise. He got to be the voice of a franchise. But yeah, I mean, that's my only interest in Final Destination. So now that we've gone over Watch Mojo's stellar list, and I get that they only had 10 movies, I wanted to go through every film that's the movies that looked the most interesting to me that were coming out for 2025. So now let's switch gears. So, as far as my list is concerned, in addition to what it is that we've just reviewed, let's talk first recent releases. Wolfman. I have spoken at length about this. I did a preview about a month ago now of The Wolfman because I did a reaction video to the making of behind the scenes on my channel. I did a movie preview and a reaction video when I went to go actually watch it. I even did a week or two ago. I did my final thoughts on it, entitled "Cry Wolf: Blumhouse's Failure in Reinventing Its Wolfman." Man, this one was every bit the L that I knew that it would be. I knew that it was going to be paint by numbers. I knew that so many people had exaggerated what it was that that Lee Winnell and Blumhouse did for The Invisible Man, because that movie's overrated. It's not good. It's not creative. It was, oh god, it was just a Me Too love letter. And my god, by the time that we got to Wolfman, again, I knew that because Blumhouse and Lee Winnell had no experience with creature features, they weren't going to be able to pull off Wolfman. And personally, I'm happy that people called out how crappy the effects were, because they absolutely were. The creature effects looked god awful. It did not register as a canine. It didn't register as a wolf man. The story is bland as all hell. And why? Because Blumhouse relied on their usual comfort zone of spooks in a house. And mind you, I'm a fan of single location horror. Guess what? That demands the caveat that you get the most out of your characters and your scenery, and obviously your story. But what I'm saying is, those two elements, your characters and your scenery, should inform your plot. And please believe, neither Lee Winnell or Blumhouse were smart enough to think about how their environment, the woods, should inform their story. They did not care about their characters. That's why they're so paint by numbers and bland. The story is just, it's about as mediocre as it gets. And everything that they tried to tout the film as reinventing the werewolf genre, we've either seen it before within werewolf movies, like, oh my god, the family drama, or hey, how about Silver Bullet, what else, Ginger Snaps. It's like, dude, come on, we've seen this before. And then they tried to say, oh well, what if the Wolfman curse was treated as a disease? You mean like in Underworld, bro? And god, the effect with the lighting where the Wolfo vision looks all highlighted and I don't know, like you're tripping balls. Yeah, we've seen that in True Blood whenever someone turns into a vampire. So, nice try. I'm just glad that it got called out by the fan base. It did a piss poor job at the box office, and good for it. And you know why? Because bad movies should not be rewarded for their mediocrity. Moving on. Presence, this is the movie that came out, I think, in January. It came out fairly recently. It seemingly promised like a haunting from the perspective of ghosts. This one didn't seem to land. Everything that I was reading about it, it seemed like it just didn't deliver. So, again, I have no ill will towards this movie or its developers, but I mean, just like with Blumhouse and their Wolfman movie, if you're gonna promise something, you better deliver, because if you don't, you can't do an anemic kind of job with whatever it is that you're marketing or whatever it is that you're trying to push. If you're gonna tell it from the perspective of the ghost of a haunting, okay, that's cool. But you better deliver on it, and it better not just be anemic. It better just not be a gimmick. And clearly, I mean, I didn't watch the movie. I didn't really have an interest in it. The trailers didn't sell me on it. But seems passable. Companion. Oh God, Stepford Wives much. This looks like the female version of Get Out, where, oh my god, really, men are just using women as robots. And this movie came out, if I'm not mistaken, at the same time or I'm sorry, January 31st, if I'm not mistaken. I had seen trailers for it. I just didn't know when it was coming out. Apparently it's already released, and apparently it's already a box office dud, and good for them, because it looked stupid. It looked pandering to women, of course, demonizing men. Like, oh god. I hope that, horror gets the message that we're kind of tired of these same kinds of movies. And again, it's like right in line with The Invisible Man, demonizing men. Like, you'd never see the male version of that story where men are the one being, used for their resources or their money, God forbid. Yeah, tell that story, show some guts and actually present that, but that ain't never gonna happen. Yeah, it's God. The fact that we have this movie that bombed, and I'm glad that it did, Megan, and a Megan spinoff called Soulmate. I mean, unfortunately, it looks like we're gonna get more of this before this lame trend sees its end. Moving on, the Valentine themed slasher movie that just came out this weekend, Heart Eyes. I mean, honestly, the bar is so low for slasher movies. People still believe that slasher movies are automatically great just because they exist, just because they're coming out. No. Straight up and flat out. Like, I don't understand when it became written in stone, written as law, that slasher movies are the definitive horror movie. No, they're not. Furthermore, they are so hopelessly overrated and formulaic that whenever one comes out, like, the bar is set so low, you would be able to knock it out of the park if you innovated even slightly, even on a surface level. The bar is just, it's so formulaic with these movies. It's run of the mill. It hinges on stereotypes. That's how bad it is with slasher movies. Like, seriously, all you would have to do in order to actually generate buzz and stand out from the pack is to even demonstrate a cursory intention of reinventing the rules. And no, I don't mean in a style of Scream. And no. No, again, these movies are woefully repetitive with their tropes, with their stock characters, to insist that people, oh my god, they can't get enough of it. Really? So why is it that Heart Eyes underperformed as well as Eli Roth's other holiday-themed slasher movie, Thanksgiving? Why is that? If people just can't get enough of these, it seems like, speaking of Thanksgiving, they've had their fill. And Heart Eyes, I mean, look, I just got through watching Wolfman last month. Not even for my channel was I going to be able to stomach going to watch a slasher movie this early in the year. No. And I usually try not to badger people that, God forbid, they have a dissenting opinion with me. But I was leaving the gym on my way back home in order to broadcast this live stream, this preview, and someone had mentioned on Twitter that this movie's fine, rave reviews, the $7-8 million box office was above expectations, and it's okay for an $18 million budget. I had to remind this dweeb, please believe that the developers of this movie, they weren't aiming for not even making half of their budget back, especially in a dead end month like February. Furthermore, it's always amusing to me whenever people focus purely on the box office of a film, they never mention the marketing, which, if you don't know, the rule of thumb as of 2010, with very few exceptions, for a movie's marketing is that it is equivalent to or even exceeds the budget of the movie, meaning you have to consider that the price tag for whatever movie you're talking about is twice the budget. So if it made $8 million in its opening weekend and it actually cost $36 million to make, that's not a good batting average. That means that you could quadruple the box office and you haven't even broken even yet. Like, it's amazing when people try to dictate to me the economy of movies. Anyway, and furthermore, look, Captain America 4 is scheduled to be a bomb, and it comes out this Friday. Please believe that Heart Eyes is not going to stand a chance, because everyone is either not going to go to the theater, or they're going to go watch that Captain America for just to see how much of a stink fest it is. But the point is that Heart Eyes, it opened at second place. It doesn't have a chance of making its money back. And my God, it's there's nothing. It's just your run-of-the-mill slasher movie. There's nothing to it. The main villain has a idiotic mask, like just a bland mask on with heart lit eyes over his face. Yeah, that wouldn't make it difficult to stalk your prey with that on. But anyway, yeah, that's all I got as far as recent releases. Now let's go to trailers. So now let's get to the good stuff. The 28 Years Later trailer came out in December, and my God, this is what's missing when it comes to horror. Like, the ramping up of the music, it did so much to set the tone for the trailer and the film to come. I was ecstatic when I saw the trailer, and when I heard that at that point it was the second highest or most watched horror trailer of all time, behind 2019's It Chapter 2. And I'm happy for it. I'm happy. That's really great buzz so early on in the marketing. And again, I give it credit. I don't think that they're just doing this to cash in on the name brand or whatever. I think that they have a good story. I trust the handlers of it. I trust Danny Boyle, who I believe wrote and directed the first one, and if I'm not mistaken, wrote the 28 Weeks Later. I've always given this franchise credit. I'm not really a fan of 28 Days Later. I don't hate it, but I've never been much of a fan of it. I'm a big fan of 28 Weeks Later. And like the notion that the rage virus has gotten worse and has spread to the mainland, I'm looking forward to seeing how it is that they depict this. This is my third most anticipated film for 2025. I can't wait to see what the next trailer looks like and when the film actually releases. And my God, again, I think that far too often trailers are just treated like, all right, just put a bunch of, like, there's no style to it. You know what I mean? And I'm glad that while we have Blumhouse pretending that it's some kind of voice when it comes to horror movies, or that they are the ones that are navigating the ship of the genre, I think that it takes franchises like this not only to demonstrate what good trailers are. I mean, we had the Nosferatu trailer or teaser trailer of last summer, which was really good. I'm happy that this is not only making a comeback, the 28 year's name brand, it not only made a comeback, but it's making a comeback in a new way. And I invite everyone after watching this to take a look at that teaser, because the rising tension in it and the rising tone set the tone for this movie to come. The Monkey. This is, like I said, this is a Stephen King adaptation. When I was watching the trailer, I just decided to go with it. It's like, all right, a monkey, a doll. It's a toy, essentially, that causes Final Destination or Omen type curses and deaths, whatever. Let's just go with it. But then it started going down like that corny, cheesy. And look, I get that it's a toy monkey that causes curses and deaths and all that. So it might be like tongue in cheek, but I don't know. This, like, they started going down that cheesy kind of stupid type of humor route. And look, camp is good in certain ways and in small doses. There's a way to do it, and I'll be getting to an example of that later down the road with this list of previews for 2025 horror. But I wasn't crazy about the humor route that they tried to go to, and then, God, I saw that James Wan is co-producing this or producing this. Hold up. Again, I think that much like the Conjuring franchise, we've gotten all we're gonna get out of James Wan. I don't think he's a good. I just think that we've gotten everything that we've gonna get out of him. Like, it was quietly announced that his Teacup series, I think it was on Netflix or Peacock, was canceled, which is like, man, that just seems to happen with him. There was this horror tapes show on Netflix that got canceled. What else of his Swamp Thing show got canceled? Yeah. It is telling that this guy, who's like a legend or whatever within the genre, that his projects keep imploding. Malignant, anyone? He doesn't know how to humor. He doesn't know how to use comedy, and Malignant really did show that. God, talking about cheesy. So the fact that he's involved in this adaptation of a Stephen King story, I don't know. None of that to me reads optimism or quality control. And God, the ending of the trailer, like, how zoomer can you be with your humor, where you have a priest that approaches the what is it called, the pulpit, the podium, and he like curses, he goes, "Oh, F," in front of everyone in the congregation. Like, did you not know you had people in front of you? Did you not know that you were approaching those gathered at a church, you idiot? And he's got sideburns, and apparently he's like a stoner, and then he just like trails off because he, like, after cursing in front of everyone, he was just like, oh God. Like, the humor completely killed it. Again, I was willing to give this a chance. Yeah, I think I'll pass. Well, I'll give it even now. I'll be fair. I'll give it a chance, but my expectations aren't particularly high. Speaking of low expectations, the Final Destination Bloodlines trailer or teaser dropped last week, and man, it's just much like the Monkey. It's just it looks just more of the same. And my God, after 5 previous entries, like, this is one of those what I call brain dead cinema, and much like the Friday the 13th films, there's really nothing to it. Like, honestly, how many times can you see something randomly tip over, or a circuit breaker short circuits, or something sharp is, like, I don't know, rolling its way towards someone, or water spills on the like, dude. And the recent teaser was all of that. And it just looks like Mousetrap, the movie. And yeah, this was, I guess, fun in high school. I'm not gonna lie, I've always liked Final Destination 2 and 3, but again, I mean, what haven't they done with this? They tried to go the 3D gimmick. Then they tried to do, oh my god, a prequel that connects to the first one. I bet you didn't see that coming. Like, just, yo. Again, I'm only going to watch this for the memory of Tony Todd, but, it's much like Saw. This is just blood and guts, the film. It's just that it doesn't take itself seriously, so I don't either. Megan 2. Jesus Christ. Honestly, Blumhouse, Jason Blum, and James Wan, like, first off, James Wan has a very strange and uncomfortable fixation when it comes to dolls. I think he should see a therapist for that. Like, the doll in Dead Silence, then you have the Jigsaw doll, then you have Annabelle, and now you have Megan. Like, dude, I get that you're like 5 foot nothing, and probably the size of a mannequin, but for God's sakes, like, see a therapist because there's something wrong with you. And the fact that, it's a doll, obviously, and in the teaser they have like it. I'm just gonna say it. They do the lighting, and you know it's a focused pink lighting. And she's like sauntering. The doll is like sauntering in that motion where instead of just walking straight, she has to like cross her legs as she's walking to emphasize her hips. And it looks like she's like grown up or something, and now is the doll of a teenager or a grown woman. And she does these dance moves like leg splitting and midair flips. It just looks like they're advertising a stripper. It's so unnerving in the worst way possible. Like, honestly, and Blumhouse tries to lie to everybody. Oh my God, in an age of AI, Megan taps into our worst fears around. Just shut up. Just stop trying to be culturally relevant. This movie, I really hate, and not to go off on a tangent, but I really hate movies that are shallow but try to present themselves as they have like some kind of deeper meaning, or especially when they try to posit that they are culturally relevant. No, you're not. Stop doing that. Stop trying to trick us into thinking that there's more going on with this film than actually is. Knock it off. No one's buying that crap. Like, no one has even spoken about Megan since it came out. There's no like cultural resonance. It has no cultural relevance. I didn't see little girls dressing up like that for Halloween, or Jason Blum for that matter, freak show that guy is. Like, there's no quotes about that movie. There's no catchphrases, and God, the marketing. Slaying this June. Stop. Just, it's so cringe. It's so obnoxious. And they're trying to push this as a gay icon. Like, I don't even know where the hell that came from. I can't wait. Like I said, with Blumhouse and Wolfman setting the tone, I can't wait for these horror movies that come out this year, whose first installments were bland and overrated. I, for one, can't wait to see movies like Megan fail, because they're not interesting. Like, I'm sorry. And oh my God, I'm probably gonna get to this in its own video, but they want to turn Megan into like some kind of anti-hero, which kind of misses the point of a killer doll film, let alone how the first one didn't have any. Like, it wasn't rated R, despite the fact that it was a killer doll movie, but okay. But they want, get this, they want to take the route of Terminator 2, where now Megan is like a guardian or something like that. Yeah, because when you think killer doll, you think Terminator 2, and they're gonna have like full-blown ballads where she's singing. So now it's a musical, and there's gonna be car chases. Like, what are you doing? And you know what? Go down your opera route. Go down your ballad route, because that works so well for Joker too, right? Oh, God. Moving on. Until Dawn. I hated the game. I found it to be overrated as hell. And it looks... Look, I give them credit for not just doing a straight up adaptation, but trying to, freshen up the formula and do something different for the movie adaptation. Basically, a bunch of teenagers are in a spooky house in a mountain and a cabin or something, and they all die in mysterious and suspicious ways in this house. And there's a grandfather clock that once it strikes 12, everyone who's died, like, it resets and everyone's now living, and they keep dying in mysterious ways and they have to figure out the mystery. It just reads like a gimmick, and I think it's actually, it has to be being made by Sony. Like, didn't we already have this out of Sony with their Escape the Room franchise that died a death because the first one made money for some reason? So when they came back, it completely flopped because now horror fans and moviegoers are hip to what it is that you're trying, and they're not interested. This just looks like more of the same. It's like not a slasher film, but more like a teen horror movie, which, oh god, we just did way too many of these. Next, Ash. This is a space horror movie, which I'm actually looking forward to. I'm willing to give this a try. I have to rewatch the trailer in order to get a better idea about what's going on. There seems to be a mystery, which I appreciate, or they're keeping the plot like under wraps as far as what specifically is going on. It has the girl from the Spanish girl in the Godzilla versus Kong movie, the one that turned on the good guys and tried to, was working for the evil corporation. I'm willing to give Ash a chance. I think that we need more space horror. I'm not sure what's going on in the movie because it's more like quick cuts of scenery. But it looks interesting from what I see. And we don't get much space horror, so I'm willing to give that a chance. That will be coming out in theaters, so I'm looking forward to that. Sinners with Michael B. Jordan. So based on the trailer, it looks like a Western of sorts. If not a Western, then a boomtown with vampires in it, where the vampires appear to be all white people. So, I don't know. This doesn't. I'm glad that it has a star in it, like a Michael B. Jordan, because I think that can be a benefit towards horror movies. It's just that there's nothing about the movie that looks good. There's nothing about it that pops. You know what I mean? Okay, it's racist vampires. So what? What's the story? What's the hook? You know what I mean? And you need that. You need to do something different to get people involved, to get people interested. And nothing that I've seen from the trailer has done that for me personally. The Woman in the Yard. This is a Blumhouse movie. This is due out, if not this month, next month. I just saw a brief trailer for it when I went to go see The Wolfman. I don't know. It's like this creepy black woman haunting a black family. She's just like rocking in a black gown in front of their farm, in front of their front yard. Not really sure what's going on, but much how Blumhouse has utterly no idea what to do with creature effects, as evidenced with their Wolfman, I don't think that they know how to pull off supernatural horror, because it's not a slasher movie, so it takes talent, and I don't think that they have it. So for me, that's a hard pass. Jurassic World Rebirth. As if this franchise hasn't been thoroughly milked enough. Pause. How can I put this? I'll give it a chance. Like the trailer, how can I put it? The trailer looked like a straight up adaptation of what you would expect out of a Jurassic Park movie. And it's a soft reboot to get away from. it's weird because they're calling it Rebirth, yet they're keeping the world part of Jurassic World in it. So just another adventure to one of the islands for a cure that only the most dangerous of the dinosaurs that were too lethal for the original park were isolated and quarantined to a different island or whatnot. So a mission is sent in to attempt to get samples of whatever DNA they can. Dino DNA. The fact that they are, and they need to gather this from a what is it? From what the trailer shows us, a some kind of pterodon or pterodactyl, one of the flying dinosaurs. I like that they're not just doing. I mean, obviously there are raptors and a T-Rex in the movie. They show something within within one of like the not cages, but like I don't even know what the hell, a chamber that looks very much like Star Wars. The Return of the Jedi, when Luke had to fight whatever monster, that's not a Sarlacc. I forgot what the name of it was called. Luke had to fight a giant monster within the what was it? Within Jabba the Hutt's palace. It looked very reminiscent of that, and I think the director even mentioned that's an intentional callback or movie reference. But one of the reasons that I am looking forward to this is it seems to get, like, they seem to have learned the lessons of the last two Jurassic World movies. They seem to be getting away from doing Raptor T-Rex hybrids, which, Jesus, that even sunk or was a point of contention with the first Jurassic World movie. And I like that they have a boat that's being like surrounded by other dinosaurs that apparently are doing the work of the Mosasaurus. I'm curious as to how that goes, but I did like that they're just incorporating different dinosaurs. Like, yes, the T-Rex and the Velociraptor are always going to be the mascots or the face of the franchise. I mean, hell, the T-Rex is in the logo for Jurassic Park movies. But you know, there are other scary monsters. There are other, terrible lizards that you can use. I've always wanted to see a Triceratops, the tank of dinosaurs, be something that, is constantly pursuing whatever team that goes into its territory and like pursues them throughout the movie. But yeah, I like that they're incorporating pterodactyls, and I like that they're including, amphibious or seafaring dinosaurs. So I'm willing to give it a shot, even if Scarlett Johansson looks like one of the at the age that she's at, and the weird face that she makes at the beginning of the trailer. Jesus Christ, she looks like she was excavated out of amber. So yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic for Jurassic World Rebirth. So that takes care of recent releases and trailers. Now let's go to films that are coming out, which laughably I noticed were absent from other people's lists. First, I would like to talk about Thanksgiving 2. And again, that's one of those movies that I'm just going to say it. I'm looking forward to that movie failing because the first one was over. Like, people tried to convince themselves it was a good movie. No, it wasn't. It wasn't funny. It wasn't gory. It wasn't interesting. And the one thing going for it, like that 70s B-movie grindhouse feel, is completely absent from the movie. They absolutely did not create an icon, and it's one of those movies that people like want it to be good even though it's not, which to me is like, why would you as a fan, why would you approach movies like that? Why would you assume that something is great before you watch it? Like, look, We all go to movies hoping that a movie is good. Why would you waste your time or your money or your energy to go watch a movie if you didn't think it was good? But it's so strange that people just don't want to admit that a film, especially a slasher movie, can suck. It's just like, dude, you do realize that just because you're making any kind of entry in a particular genre, you realize that you have to put the legwork in to make your film good, right? And the reception was completely bogus as far as the original Thanksgiving, but the box office certainly wasn't there. And like, it's just the copium of all copium that people approach these films in this particular genre with, and they always want to give it a free pass. And you could miss me with that, because I sure as hell won't. Next up, which I found funny, that nobody mentioned it, was Predator Badlands. Oh man. This one, unfortunately, like they kind of greenlit it when Prey came out, and Prey was nothing to write home about. Catch my watch party, catch my trailer preview, catch my review of that movie. I don't get it. And I've been saying it for the longest time. They need to follow the Predators from 2010. They need to follow that formula. Take it into space, put the franchise in the future. Like, Prey just set such a bad tone for Alien Romulus and its own franchise, because now, let's just jump to different time periods with the Predator. It's like, yo, you are missing the point. It's science fiction. Why are you going into the past, our past? Why are you doing that? I don't get it. And for one of my favorite franchises and my favorite monster, oh God, I'm happy when bad movies tank and don't make money. And why? Because bad movies don't deserve to be celebrated. They don't like, look at what happened with the Venom movies. Always remember that lesson. People overrated the crap out of the first Venom movie, and yeah, it made like $800 million. It wasn't good though, but because it made money, that's all the studio worried about. So they had exactly no incentive whatsoever to learn the lessons and improve. And that's what you get out of crap like Prey and Alien Romulus. So, man, look, I don't want to go into movies like that and hope that they just crash out, that they are box office bombs. But yo, failure is the only way these people are gonna learn, man. And again, I take no pleasure in saying this, because much like when I did my live reaction to the Scream movies, look, Predator is absolutely one of my favorite movies of all time. It's one of my favorite movie monsters. And the fact that, man, they're so bereft of ideas. They're like, oh, let's go back to the beginning. Why don't you come up with new ideas? Why, like, new ideas that are good, that land? Like, why is that such a big ask? But, you know, it's a sign of the times. Next up, one film that I am absolutely looking forward to. It's actually my second most anticipated film of 2025, Orphan 3. Now, I don't know how they're going to pull this off. I'm assuming it's going to be a sequel to the first movie, because the prequel, Orphan First Kill, led into the first Orphan movie. I'm curious to see what it is that they do, but much like Dexter, how when the handlers returned to that initial premise, they came back with like good ideas and a good execution. I very much liked Orphan First Kill. I did a watch party. I did a, if I'm not mistaken, I did a trailer gut reaction. I did a review of that film, and I did a side-by-side comparison between Prey and Orphan First Kill, which I invite you to take a look at, all those videos that I mentioned. So again, based off of the strength of Orphan First Kill, my immediate suspicion is always that when they're bringing up bringing back these franchises, they're trying to make a cash cow out of them. They're just trying to milk it for everything it's worth. I'm like I said, this is my second most anticipated movie, a horror movie of 2025. So I'm looking forward to this. And again, that's based off of my own entertainment with this character, with Esther. It's the horror genre's wicked stepsister. And again, Orphan First Kill it surprised me pleasantly. So I'm willing to give this a look, and I'm very anticipated for it. Next up, Jordan Peele's Him. God Almighty, I wish this guy would go away. Like the way that his announcements of his films are always treated, it's like, oh man, like dude, you're not Quentin Tarantino. Like you. I'm making my fourth horror film or whatever number we're on. It's like, dude, you're not building any type of anticipation. Movies like Get Out are overrated. Movies like Nope and Us, utterly forgettable. Like these are movies that nobody talks about anymore. They tried to sell us on the notion that Robert Eggers and Ari Aster and Jordan Peele, oh man, they were going to usher in a new era for the genre. Elevated horror, yo,
bitch, please. We gonna rock, then we gonna roll, then we let it pop, don't let it go. X gon' give it to you.
Just stop with this crap. Stop trying to push this guy as if he's something great, as though he's a legend. And just stop. It's so cringe. I personally do not care about this guy at all. I don't give a crap what it is that this guy brings to the table, because frankly, he has demonstrated that it's not impressive. His stories are not interesting. They're not creative. It's crap. It's nothing. And that's really all we have to look forward to. It's just hyperbole when it comes to Jordan Peele. The Insidious 6, I think we're on, that was supposed to come out this year, won't be. Instead, something called Thread, an Insidious spinoff. Don't care. I've seen 3 of these movies, I think. I don't even know. I've always found the Insidious franchise utterly overrated. They've tried to sell you on the notion that, oh my god, this is the new Poltergeist. No, it's not. The fact that so many directors, podcasters, whoever have reiterated the same talking point just goes to show me that it's a force and it's a farce. And these movies clearly can't create their own identity. They can't stand on their own 2 feet. That's why they need to stand on the shoulders of giants and keep referring back to something that is successful, that has a legacy, because these movies, quite frankly, don't. Now, on to my number 1 most anticipated movie of 2025, horror movie, Return to Silent Hill. The fact that it has the same writer-director, Christoph Gans, as the first one, who his visual style and respect for the franchise is what carried that film. And usually like with a Guillermo del Toro, I would caution or outright reject an approach to style over substance, because you need both in order to pull off a Silent Hill franchise or film or adaptation, what have you. I want to believe that in the near 2 years since Silent Hill's release, I want to believe that not only has Christoph Gans learned his lessons from the first adaptation, he's coming with a fresh take to a familiar story, and also, my God, we've waited, like, how crazy is it that we've waited all this time, despite 2 other Resident Evil, wow, despite 2 other Silent Hill film adaptations. How crazy is it that we're only now getting a adaptation to what is considered the greatest of the Silent Hill games, which is Silent Hill 2? I'm very much looking for, like, I didn't crap on it the way that other people did. The teaser that we got in September, was it September? It must have been, no, it was not September. Must have been in June of 2024. I liked what we saw. It might have been, quickly slapped together in order to coincide with marketing for Silent Hill 2 remake. Just putting some kind of trailer together to show to people to get excitement or buzz or whatever going. I enjoyed it. I liked it for what it was. It doesn't look as though we have any stars in it, but it doesn't look cheap. And people were saying that it looked that way. I disagree. I'm looking forward to the full trailer that we're gonna get. I don't know when that will be, but I'm very much looking forward to see. And you have to understand that at the very least, the handlers of the franchise understood the love that fans had, not just for the first film, but for Christoph Gans's style. I was blown away that we were even getting an adaptation or a sequel to the first Silent Hill game, but that they realized that the fans had such an adoration and respect for Christoph Gans. I was shocked. And I'm happy that this is part of the Silent Hill renaissance that we're enjoying now. Next up, we have Fear Street Prom Queen. Oh, God. Another teen horror slasher, whatever. I only saw 2 of the 3 Fear Street Netflix adaptations. I'm not looking forward to this one. I'll watch it for the channel. I still have to do reviews of the second and third film. God. This is what I mean. It's just straight up adaptations and tropes. And honestly, how is it that you can adapt or move a genre forward if you hinge on the cliches? And God, we've gotten so much of that with adaptations like Fear Street, like the first Until Dawn. It's just, God almighty. These are entries in this genre which are just undeserving of praise or any kind of positive reception, because they're not up to snuff, and it's like they want the praise, but they're just not going to give you anything that merits it. If I haven't read up on specifically what it's about, I'm talking about Fear Street Prom Queen, and honestly, I don't care, because again, the first 3. Or the first 2 that I saw were nothing to write home about. And I just feel like this is, the fact that it's called Prom Queen, prom night, anyone? So they're probably just going to, do more of what we expect. They think that it's cute to do their nonsensical, childish winks and nods at previous slasher and teen horror movies. And I don't get it, and it just reminds me over why it is that I'm not a fan of slashers. Speaking of, we have the I Know What You Did Last Summer sequel. God, oh why? This is one of those franchises that nobody ever talks about these movies. Nobody. They did, and I think James Wan was behind an I Know What You Did Last Summer miniseries for Amazon a year or 2 ago, which I didn't even know that was a thing. Anyway, honestly, man, who cares? This I Know What You Did Last Summer is just one of those films that people only ever talk about as a companion piece to Scream, or if you're talking about the quote unquote slasher renaissance of the 90s. But they never discuss it on its own terms, alone, in isolation. You know what I mean? Which raises more than an eyebrow to me. I raise a middle finger at it. It's just a product of its time. Honestly, how great of a slasher film can you have when people don't even realize that the slasher in that movie, the guy with the hook, has a name. He's called the Mariner. You find that odd that no one knows that? It's because no one cares. So Freddie Prinze Jr. and I believe what's her name? Jennifer Love Hewitt. She's due to be back in it, and I think they're gonna go to the Scream 2022 route where they're in the movie, but the movie isn't like predominantly about them. It's about a new cast of characters, which is amusing to me because it tried to be the Scream, use the Scream formula. Here's the thing. I understand if you want to have a new cast of characters, but much like the Saw movies, there's nothing nostalgic about the I Know What You Did Last Summer. So, the cast or the film in and of itself. So to try to recruit or cast new members, a younger roster of characters, if you need to, but like, what's the point? Like, because again, no one's gonna care because there's nothing that people gravitate towards with that film and franchise because it was just a product of its time. It says like, okay, another slasher film that comes off on the heels of Scream. So what? Next, Five Nights at Freddy's. This is another one of those movies that I'm looking forward to its failure. I didn't watch the first one. It looked like crap. It looked shallow. I never played the games. I never will. Apparently, this is Blumhouse's highest grossing film of all time, the original. It just looks shallow and gimmicky and repetitive, and I ain't about it. And again, the fact that they're just looking to launch another franchise because, oh my God, does Blumhouse love turning everything and anything into a franchise? Franchises that don't have any, strength really, that don't really, go the distance. Yeah, they've had The Purge and Paranormal Activity, but honestly, what cachet do those even have anymore? You know what I mean? Like, how do they resonate with modern audiences? So, I mean, they're, I guess, despite their late arrival to the video game adaptation game, it paid off for them. But I highly doubt that they're going to bring anything new to it. And much in the same way that, Five Nights at Freddy's has always been this annoying Gen Z type of film franchise or type of video game franchise. It looks like Blumhouse is going to try to make that more of the same. The Gorge. So this is that movie that stars Ann Taylor-Joy, and it seems to be like two, how can I put it? Two patrol guards that are on either side of a wall protecting something, and they communicate with one another to keep each other company despite being separated on either side of the wall. But apparently they're not supposed to communicate with each other, and whatever it is that is that they're supposed to be guarding comes for them or something like that. I'll watch it because it's Ann Taylor-Joy, but I haven't seen anything from the movie to like intrigue me really. And I feel like they made a similar premise and movie like this with their Great Wall of China film that was built to protect China from lizard men, and it had Matt Damon in it. I don't know, man. Anyway, oh God, In the Lost Lands, Dave Bautista and Mila Jovovich. What more can I say? The movie Drop. So this involves a woman on a date who it's like a cell phone suspense movie. She's at a restaurant and she gets a call that a friend or a member of her family is being held hostage, and she has to keep someone that she's on a date with talking. And I don't know, it tries to play off like Wes Craven's Red Eye, where someone's like in a single location. It's very, it's a suspense filled situation, and whoever it is, whatever woman is being held is in this situation, she is being targeted by whatever I don't even know what to call it, whatever person that wants something out of her or wants is holding someone hostage that she cares about. I don't know. I'll see how it goes, but it doesn't look particularly interesting. Hurry Up Tomorrow. Judging from the trailer, I don't really know what's going on. It has Jenna Ortega in it and The Weeknd. Yes, the singer. It's supposed to be. I don't even know. It's one of those trailers that it's so quick cut, and it starts out all like bubbly, and it's kind of like people are tripping balls with the scenery, and then the tension ramps up, and you don't really know what's going on. Yeah, didn't look interesting. Hell House LLC Lineage, just a delayed sequel to a found footage film from like a decade and a half ago. If I saw the original, I barely remember it. Next we have a bunch of remakes. Anaconda, just capitalizing off of name brand. Silent Night, Deadly Night, that's a weird one. Again, another slasher, another holiday themed masked maniac movie. No real reason to like particularly invest in it or care. And finally, we have The Bride. So that makes 2 Frankenstein films that are coming out this year. Christian Bale is supposed to play the Frankenstein monster, and it's being directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal. I don't know. This one looks like a pass. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I have 2 more. Let me just read what the synopses are for these. One is called The Ritual. So Al Pacino stars in the film that follows 2 priests, one questioning his faith and one reckoning with a troubled past, which is Pacino, who must put aside their differences to save a possessed young woman through a difficult and dangerous series of exorcisms. And I mentioned before how, cheesiness does have its place in horror, and here we go. Clown in a Cornfield. Hey, that title alone should tell you the tone. Get ready to meet Friendo. Author Adam Cesari gave rise to a new slasher villain in the horror novel Clown in a Cornfield, and the horror movie adaptation is on the way. A fresh start in the quaint town of Kettle Springs turns into a harrowing bid for survival when tensions between generations boil over and a killer clown arrives to cull the playing field. Okay, I'm actually down for that. Again, I am a fan of camp and cheese. It does have its place, but like something like The Monkey, it just, I don't know, it seems out of place, and like it's trying to be like too tongue-in-cheek, like in too much of a self-aware kind of way, and yeah. But this actually, like, again, what you see is what you get. They're not trying to fool you with a clever title. So, hey, I'm willing to give this one a chance. And that is my wrap up of 2025 horror movie previews. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you got something out of it. I do apologize that this was about a month and a half late into the year, but I do hope that catching up with recent releases has helped you steer clear of a lot of these duds like Wolfman and Companion and Heart Eyes at the very least. Again, this will be a first of 3 previews that I have for horror of 2025. So today was obviously horror movies. On Wednesday, I will have my preview of 2025 survival horror. I guess that one should be next. And then Thursday, I will do a 2025 horror TV preview for the year to come. Therefore, I've been Inkarnate, reminding you, I ain't just a big deal, I'm the real deal.
If you're resigned to your fate, time to subscribe to your fears.